Welcome back to the Boxing Bookie and Johnny Says Boxing. I'm Gary 3D Boxing. That's Johnny with Johnny Says. We got a lot to get into. I didn't realize up until like Monday that it was this big of a week. It's a very, very busy week. Hang on one second. I got an echo coming from somewhere. Hang on. Hang on. Take it away for a minute. Break down what you think of this weekend. I got to find where this is coming from. I got
All right, what's up, guys?
All right,
what's up, guys? Good. How's everyone doing?
We're good.
Is the echo gone?
Yeah, I got rid of it. We're good.
All right, beautiful, man. Wherever you guys are in the world, it is Friday, March 27th at 10 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia. So if you're on my channel, welcome. Go follow Gary 3D. If you're seeing us on Gary's, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Let's get it.
If you're on my channel, go sub to Johnny's channel. That's Johnny Says Boxing. All right, let's get it. So let's just start with the big one right away. Keith Thurman, Sebastian Fundora. I think we disagree on this.
Who do you like?
I like Keith Thurman probably by stoppage too.
Okay.
I'll let you. Well, let's pull up the odds first. I'm gonna start a poll on my side here. I asked this, but it'll be a bigger audience today. Who do you got? It is 2026, so we do need to make a draw an option. That's always an option.
Fair point.
Thurman, Fundora, draw. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead, Johnny. Break it down for us. I think I know what you're gonna say, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going Seb Fundora. We talked about it all week. I want to let all the boys know the our Discord is kind of cut in half as well. It's one of these fun weeks. I mean, we've had the last few weeks we've all kind of agreed, which is great because we all win money. You know what I'm saying? But during these fight weeks where we disagree, it brings a little bit of added sort of energy to the table in what we do, which is a good thing. Now, people will be disappointed, whatever outcome. But, when I got to the tape, I was at Keith's last fight when he fought 126-pound Brock Jarvis, who signed on the dotted line to fight at 154 pounds. And watch Seb's full career. You can pick and choose pros and cons from both guys' careers. For me, the selling point on taking Seb, what I couldn't get past was Keith Thurman having more surgeries than he's had fights in the last 7 years. I always use the number 7. I know Tommy's been using the number 9 because that's when he beat DSG, probably his biggest win 9 years ago. But in 2019, since the Pacquiao fight, he's only fought twice. He's had 4 surgeries. Fought Pacquiao, fought Barrios, and then the Brock Jarvis fight. And mate, in the Brock Jarvis fight, I didn't like his feet. In the first 30 seconds, I put up this clip in my Discord. I put it on my Instagram. The things that make Keith, the things that made Keith great when he was at his best were his athleticism, his explosivity, him being able to jump in with those hooks. And I think all of that is gone. In the first 30 seconds, 90 seconds of round 1 against Brock Jarvis, he leaps in with a hook and Jarvis counters him with a lead hook. And you can see Keith freeze. We know how the fight ends. He stops him in, the 3rd round. I just think that's a microcosm of what made him good and what is no longer. He'll be 38 in November. It's tough for me to put a dime on a guy that old who's been so inactive.
You bet on Holly Holm, who was like 45.
I did. Yeah. I bet on Holly Holm against your girl Stephanie Hahn, and I don't want to see that rematch. I can't. Like, Stephanie was winning that fight. She was running away with it. And so what?
I'm saying she was 45 and inactive, or 44.
She wasn't inactive. She had an illustrious. She had just fought in the UFC, a 13-year career.
She hadn't boxed though. She hadn't boxed.
That's still training. She lives her life in shape with a 6-pack. The range and distance and timing is different. Of course, it's a different sport. But she went into the UFC in 2013, a boxing Hall of Famer. This is a woman who trains at Jackson Wink in New Mexico striking. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
I'm not. All right. I mean, I do want to address this because we had this debate and it infuriated me. Fundora equals Paul Williams with less movement.
I'm a
Do you agree
huge
with
dude.
that?
You're not one of my all-time favorite fighters coming up was Paul Williams, man, the
Me,
Punisher.
me too.
Dude,
This
how
pissed
that
me off. Yeah.
dude, I'm a big Paul Williams fan. The fight against wasn't it Winky Wright when they're just
Winky
standing
right.
in the
Yeah.
pot, where they're just standing in the pocket. Paul Williams' mobility, how he was able to go side to side and throw those uppercuts, beautiful to watch. One of the fights that got away, in my opinion, when people were like, Johnny, what's the one fight that you wish would have happened that never happened? They did that. It was signed on the dotted line. They did their media week. You could go on Google right now and find images of the face-offs. Kelly Pavlik versus Paul Williams. Boy, that would have been a shootout, and it never happened due to the crash.
Yeah, it was about to be a great fight, and then this tragedy of Paul Williams. I saw Paul Williams. It was at a Jarrett Hurd fight in DC. It was Jarrett Hurd and J Rock, and I was at that fight. And Paul Williams was managing or like involved with some fighter there who's on the undercard, and he was good. He was upbeat. He was telling stories and stuff. He was talking about the Margarito fight and things like that. So I mean, he seemed well. Still a bunch of years ago, but yeah, Paul Williams, I thought coming up at 147 was a freak. The volume, the speed, the combination point, like he was sharp. To me, Fundora, and I'm not trying to disparage Fundora. He's a unicorn who sucks at boxing. I
don't think Seb is. Yeah, I don't think Seb is Paul Williams by no means. Let's get it. I'm not trying to say that. That was from Havelock, which is a good question when you're looking at stature, when you're looking at the physical advantages, right? But Fundora, when I think of Seb Fundora, why I like Seb Fundora is when we look at what he looked like, getting hit with the shot against Mendoza, kind of fights down to some of his opponents. But we've watched him kind of grow up in front of all of our eyes to see him fill out into his sort of man body now, punches down, volume pace. He averages 70 to 80 punches per round versus Keith Thurman's 50 to 60. And that was Keith Thurman at his best. And I really like Seb's backhand, and I think it's going to be the uppercuts. And I also want to mention, I love the adjustment Seb made from Tim Tszyu 1 to Tim Tszyu 2. Tim Tszyu 1, he fights Tim Tszyu 1 in the pocket. Tim Tszyu 2, he did all of his best work in range. It just kind of shows you what he could do. I think he stops Keith.
all right, so that was my next. We both like the stoppage. So
Yeah, we both like we can find common ground.
Yeah, that's so okay. I think we have a bet here that we both like, which is the fight not to go the distance. Right?
I like it. I like it. I'm gonna throw. Yeah, I like it.
Where is the prop on that? I got money line. I got winning method. I hate when they add all these bets. You can never find it. Fight props to go the distance. No, minus 175. I don't love the price on it, but I don't think the fight goes. I would say the most likely outcome is Thurman by stoppage, but the second most likely outcome is Fundora by stoppage. So I would say this fight doesn't go the distance. Whoever wins, I think, is going to win by stoppage. And
I'm looking up the odds now. Will the fight go the distance here? Yeah, we're only getting 60% return down here in Australia.
Either fighter to be knocked down. I like that too. Here's what I think I like too. Both fighters to be knocked down. Plus 800. You want to roll the dice with me? I kind of like that. Plus 800.
You think it's going to be a shoot? You think it's going to be a shootout?
Yeah, see, I do because and this is what guys. When a fighter gets older, his legs start to fail him, so he has to stand in more. So his fights become more entertaining, not less. Right? I think, yeah. To me, I've said this on my live stream many times. To me, we could sit down, we could break this down for a half hour, we could get it into the tape. It comes down to two things. Well, it comes down to one thing. Can Keith Thurman get inside? If he can, he's going to dominate. If he can't, he's going to lose. Right? I think if he can get inside, he can stop. And if he doesn't, he's going to get stopped.
Okay. Historically, let's open that up then. Historically, how has Keith Thurman always gotten inside? What does he use to get inside when he's at his best?
He uses his feints and he leaps in with left hooks in particular.
He doesn't use his jab.
He does. No, he's got no jab. I pointed that out many times in my videos. There's no jab. He
uses his speed and athleticism. Unorthodox punches. I didn't see any of that against Brock. Brock got out of there because Brock was a punching bag. But if we didn't get a copyright strike, Brock Jarvis stunned. Keith had to engage in the clinch in the first 40 seconds of that fight. And that's Brock Jarvis. I think Seb, especially from the, I don't see Keith getting in there, man. I think Seb's going to pick him off outside. I think
That
it's
could
going to be
happen.
one. I think it's going
That's
to be
why
one way. I'm banking
I'm
on
gonna
one
keep
way
a
traffic. I don't
I'm
want
gonna
it to be
keep
a
a live
shootout.
eye on this for live betting. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna live bet Fundora. If I see Thurman not being able to get past the jab of Fundora and eating eating left hand, I'm gonna live bet Fundora. I just don't see that. I don't think Fundora is particular. I think Fundora is Mario Barrios, right? I
Wow.
think Keith Thurman.
But Mario Barrios is 6 feet tall. Seb is 6'6".
Yeah, he's an even taller Mario Barrios, right? But like the flaws I
And he
see in
can punch.
Barrios,
Seb can punch. Tim Zoo.
so can Barrios. I've
You,
done Mitch with Barrios. Barrios can punch. Like, trust me,
I just
Barrios
think
can punch.
there's something about what physics bring to the table when you're that long, you have that big of a height and reach advantage. It adds a little bit of snap, like a sort of Tommy Hearns sort of approach. Obviously, I'm not comparing Seb to
Or
Tommy by
Williams.
no way means.
We
Like
get it. I get it.
even
Yeah.
Kelly Pavlik. Pavlik was a tall, lean puncher, and
Yeah.
you look at these guys at the weigh-ins, you'd be like, this kid can't punch. But boxers know it's those guys who can punch. It's
Deontay
almost like
Wilder. Yeah.
yeah, Deont. That's and it's that sort of thing. So I think I heard a Tim Zoo interview, and look, whenever we get past opponents talking about an opponent who beat them, they're always going to speak highly of them. But Zoo talked about how one of the things that was the hardest thing to get past Seb wasn't necessarily the height and the reach. It was how hard he punched. And he said he punched harder in that second fight. So I just think that this is a kid who lives like a samurai, who they literally built a compound. He doesn't party, doesn't drink, probably doesn't hook up with chicks, and lives his live not like by choice.
No,
By
it's a
choice
good
though.
thing. That's a good. No, I get it.
You
That's a
see
good thing. That's a good thing.
you see what I'm
with
saying?
you.
And then inverse to that, I'm watching Keith Thurman. If you go to PBC's Instagram, he gets off of his private jet and he's talking to the fans and he goes, "We got a lot of good content coming for you this weekend." I played it for my Discord boys. I go, "What is he talking about? You have a fight in 3 days. You're talking about creating content. I don't know why he's here. Does he really want to be here? He's going to sell the fight." I mean, I question the reasoning on Keith Thurman taking this fight because this wasn't supposed to be his fight.
Well, I'll explain why. Because he can't beat any of the other champions. That's why. He can't beat Boots, right? He can't beat Verge.
Boots isn't a champion.
I understand, but it's a big money fight for him, and it's a big name.
Do you think he would have beat Zoo?
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Zoo's a little. Zoo sucks too.
I can't get a read on Tim. Tim's kind of basic.
I don't like Fundora. Like all the sloppy flaws I see in Barrios, I see in Fundora. Yeah, Fundora's 6'7" and Barrios is 6'1". I get it. That's 6 inches. That's a big difference. But I just like I look at Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman at his best. The Keith Thurman that ran through
Hold on. You're saying
let me finish. Let me finish. The one that ran through Ghost, that Guerrero, that ran through Cayazzo, that ran through Porter and Garcia. That is a first ballot all-time great welterweight.
I disagree. I totally disagree. Ghost Guerrero was 2015. He doesn't stop Ghost Guerrero. He fights Sean Porter and DSG. Those fights could have easily gone the other way or been a draw. What's his best win? A fight in which they was super close. He got beat by a 49-year-old Manny Pacquiao. Keith Thurman was never the guy at welterweight. In his era, it was Errol Spence Jr. at 147. It was never Keith.
I think Thurman
you think Thurman beats Errol? Oh my god! Damn! And you're a Texas guy. DeSoto, Texas.
I said the same thing. I said Crawford. I said Crawford was gonna beat Spence. I was like, no, Spence is gonna kill Crawford. Like
I picked Bud. I was an Errol fan and I picked Bud, but I think Errol would dog walk Thurman. In their primes, you would have taken Thurman over EJ. That's wild.
He's got the legs to beat him.
That was so 2015 Thurman.
What year was it that Crawford went from 40 to 47 and he beat Jeff one? What year was that? 2017?
Yeah.
That's when I think they were all at their best. 2017. I would say Crawford beats them both. Thurman loses to Crawford, beats Spence. Spence loses to the other two.
Because Porter fought all those guys tough. Porter was fought all those tough.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like, it's interesting. Keith, for me, was always the odd man out. And this was even in 2017. So I don't know, man. I question you, guys. We know the older we get, we keep our power. But I heard Tommy bring up a good point. Him and Paulie were talking about how, Tommy was referring to his own career when he stepped in the ring. I think one of his last fights, he was 37, and he was like, the things that you battle through at 27, like guys headbutting you, an elbow to the head. He's like, I'm in the ring and this young kid headbutts me, and I think to myself, what the hell am I doing here? Like those sort of questions will come up. And also, it's not like Keith is just fighting Seb Fundora, a champion. He's the problem he has to solve at 37, 38 years old is a 6'6" southpaw hard hitting problem in front of him. So how's he going to manage range and distance? He's going to use his reflexes. I think that stuff's gone, man. Watching him get countered against Brock, the things that he would need to successfully solve that 6'6" equation, you need reflexes, you need intuition, you need a little bit of timing. And he's a good, I'll give Keith this. He's one of the best punchers I've ever seen to throw punches kind of like a quarterback who's leading his receiver, throwing it to a position before the receiver's there. He throws shots at weird angles and he runs on him. So it's kind of a similar shot that Mendoza landed. So if that's what he's banking on, he could land that shot. He has a puncher's chance. Right? I mean, what if he does that? What if we see him land that?
I think both guys have, I think either fighter could get knocked out. I think the fight definitely ends in knockout. I'm fairly certain it ends in knockout. I'm just saying, which one do I think is more likely to get knocked out? Like I said, to me, it's just a matter of how much is left in Thurman. Because that Thurman that we talked about from 2017,
beats this Fundora,
beats him in a round.
He's never fought at 54, though. How could we compare the two?
It's 8 pounds. It's 8 pounds with smaller gloves.
It's still a division. It's still a division.
To sleep.
I
understand.
When's the last time he won by knockout? Not including Brock Jarvis.
The talent, the ring IQ and the talent, the gap is extraordinary. Like one guy to me is an all-time great welterweight, and the other guy kind of sucks.
See, I see a lot of holes. I see a lot of holes in Keith Thurman's game. I think he's leaking. I think he's leaking on defense. Well, he's leaking on defense too, man. He exits the pocket with his hands down. He got away with a lot of things because he was so athletic when he was younger, to where I think that Seb is going to make him pay for all those things. You think Seb's a hype job? He's a defending world champion. He's defending his belt at 154. How's that a hype job, dude?
We did this with Barrios. Mario Barrios has a better win than any win. And the poll is 50-50. But Barrios has a better win than anything Fundora has in Ugas.
What's Barrios' best win? Ugas? You don't think, when did he fight Ugas? How old was Ugas? I think
Ugas had just beaten Pacquiao. I think the
Erickson Lubin win's better than that win. And the Tim Tszyu win. The Tim Tszyu win as well. Tim Tszyu's a former world champion.
We can debate Tim Tszyu. There ain't no way Lubin's better than Ugas. What did Lubin ever do? Lubin never did nothing.
I'm talking. I mean, he fought for a couple world titles. He just wasn't there. You can't be shading the hammer, dude.
Erickson Lubin. I'm just saying Erickson Lubin's not even on the same tier as Ugas.
I would disagree. I think he would fight Ugas really tough.
Ugas beat Pacquiao.
I mean, we're talking about different eras though when they fought, so it does matter when each guy fights each guy.
Barrios beat Ugas's ass better than Spence did.
I mean, your argument here though is because Barrios has a better win than Seb.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm trying to figure out what the argument is.
I think Fundora's a hype job, right? Like we all agree that Barrios isn't that good. Barrios has a better win than Sebastian Fundora has. I think Fundora is every bit, probably more a hype job than Barrios was.
I disagree, man. How could you take a kid who's 28 years old, who's defended his belt at 154, who is a volume-paced puncher, who's always in a dogfight, who wants to be in the pocket, always in exciting electric fights, goes out on a shield? How is that a hype job? I would call Brock Jarvis a hype job because Brock Jarvis was sold to us in Australia.
That's fine. Yeah, Brock Jarvis. I'm with you.
Jeff Fennick.
I'm with you.
Jeff Fennick, boxing Hall of Famer. Jeff Fennick sold the Australian public Brock Jarvis. That, in my opinion, is the definition of what a hype job is. Seb Fundora, a kid who came up, father coached him, becomes a world champion, defends his belt. That's not a hype job. You became a world champion. So
is Barrios a hype job?
I don't think Barrios is a hype job.
Okay, all right, then we just have a different definition of the word. That's fine. You're being
So you're
I'm not gonna.
these are flawed. I mean, they're not like these fighters, Barrios and Fundora. They have flaws, but most fighters have flaws.
Here's what I mean by a hype job. Here's what I mean by a hype job. There are four world champions in every weight class. Was Barrios ever one of the 4 best fighters in any weight class at any time in his career?
Because there's always one.
Okay, hype job.
There's always one. There's always
was
one
Barrios
guy.
Was Barrios ever a top 10 welterweight?
Put it this way: who just retired this weekend? No, but who just retired this weekend? We saw him give the performance, one of the worst performances we've seen. Mick Conlan. That kid was a gold, like had a country around him. Medaled in the Olympics, has a pro career, fights for 2 world titles, never wins a world title. So his history legacy will always be never won a world title, right? I wouldn't call Mick Conlan I wouldn't call Mick Conlan a hype job. You just named 2 fighters, Seb Fundora and Mario Barrios, who have been world champions once. How could that be a hype job?
Because who did they? Okay, I don't want to do.
You just proved
personal friend of mine. I don't want to do this.
You just proved Barrios' point. You were going to say who did they beat, and you just sold me on Barrios beating Ugas.
No,
so you
for a world title. Hang on. Who did they beat for their world titles? Nobody.
I mean, they elevated.
Barrios for his belt at 47. They literally sent it to him in the mail. And then at 40, it was a vacant belt that he got upgraded. So it's like, what are we actually doing here?
Seb took Tim Tszew's belt.
Yeah, no, I know.
And this was and we can't have revisionist history. Tim Tszyu was the guy. It wasn't that long ago.
I never. Oh
my God,
I never liked Tszyu.
Dude, Charlo was in it. Dude, Crawford was talking about fighting.
No, he got Tim Tszyu got a legitimate belt.
And who derailed all that? Who derailed all that? Who derailed all that? Fundora.
How come he couldn't handle Jamonte Clark?
I mean, styles make fights. You got to grow into your.
So that's what I wanted to ask you right now. That
confidence
what I wanted to ask you.
Confidence too. This kid is as confident as he's ever been. Like that matters, man. Actually believing that you have the goods. There's a fight on this undercard actually that I taped, and in the matchup, we'll probably talk about this fight. The B side is the better fighter, the more skilled fighter, the more athletic fighter, the better fighter. But I'm not taking him. I'm picking him to lose because he doesn't have the gumption to win. You see sometimes in fighters that they don't believe that he doesn't believe in himself. I can't take this guy against.
Let me ask you this. So break down the fight because I think the fight takes place on the inside, and Thurman is too skilled, too fast, too powerful, and too smart. And he's just gonna he's gonna outclass him on the inside, and then eventually stop him. How do you see the fight going down?
I see it one side. I see it one-way traffic. I don't even see this fight being close.
On the inside or on the outside? Does Fundora
the entire? I don't think Keith gets on the inside. I don't think Keith. I don't think Keith is going to have the legs. I don't think he's going to have the feet. I don't think he's going to be able to get past Seb Fundora's long tools. And I think Seb's going to do what he wants with him.
I don't think Regis was a hype job at all. I thought Regis was very good. I just think he aged out overnight. I think he got old overnight. But I thought Regis
he just had a really short kind of moment. Yeah. Regis, you know.
Well, he didn't get to his world title till he was like 31. Like so. But no, I don't think Regis was a hype job. I just think he got old quickly. Thurman better
very athletic
on a good 2-1. Agreed.
He was massive too.
All right, so we disagree on the outcome, but we both like the fight not to go the distance, correct?
I do. The odds are only giving me 60% return though.
It's not great.
But
yeah,
it is. You know, but the knockout for Seb is giving me 85% return.
If you like that, I'm gonna.
Well, that's my only play. That's my only play on this fight.
My only play on it, I'm not saying it. My major play is Thurman on the money line, but I'm gonna throw a couple bucks on Thurman by stoppage. Yeah,
dude, he's getting the odds are so great. Thurman on the money line, guys. If you like Keith, you don't have to parlay that with anything. Just go heavy on Thurman.
That's it. That's the bet. Yeah. What's the lock of the week? You guys want the lock of the week? Thurman on the money line. There you go.
And that's usually my style. But I tried, guys. I tried to find the dog. I didn't. I couldn't see it, man. So. I don't like what I saw there.
All right. You want to get into the rest of this card?
Let's
skip real quick to Moses and Franklin. I think Moses stops him. Everyone is trying to get sexy here and outsmart the bookie here and say that it's going to go the distance. It ain't going the distance. Moses is going to stop him. But what are your thoughts?
I just want to say before we continue, what other guys on YouTube are doing what our groups are doing, our squad, the 3D squad, the JSB squad, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the comments, I'm reading them on this other device. I'm like, dude, we're living the dream, everyone here. So, but moving forward, people are trying to get sexy. My Discord's torn. I'm getting private messages from folks. Johnny, man, I think that Moses is gonna go the distance. The plus 300
because
is
he went the
sexy.
distance with AJ, but AJ is the antithesis of AJ is mechanical and he sits back. Right?
Here's
It's just
so full disclosure, because the Mario Barrios knockout was the odds are so bad, and the way I see Moses beating Franklin, I think Moses handles him pretty convincingly. I actually have done what I usually never do. I propped 2 knockouts on I did a stoppage parlay, a 2-leg stoppage parlay at plus money. So I got Moses at $1.40 and Mario at $1.85, put them on a ticket. When you look at Moses, what he wants, right? Everybody's fast tracking him. He's the guy now. And Gary just walked off, but the guys on my channel know what I'm about to say here. I think that when you're looking at a guy that has a lot of hype, that has a lot of skill, there's a trajectory of how you move a fighter. It's up to their management team. It's up to their handlers of like, all right, how does he fare well with a southpaw? How does he fare well with pressure? How does he fare against a counter boxer? In old school boxing, this is how you would move a guy to a world title. Back in the day, a guy wouldn't fight for a world title unless he fought against a good counter boxer, unless he fought against a good swarmer, a good slugger. So with that being said, Franklin has never been stopped. This is why his handlers have brought him, so Moses' team could say, all right, Moses, first guy to stop Franklin, give us our title, sort of thing. So I think that's why they brought him in. He'll be the first guy to stop him.
okay. So you agree with me that Moses gets the stoppage, correct?
Without a doubt.
We're not trying to get too cute here.
No.
Okay. I'm with you.
And Gary, also I should mention, this is coming from the side that I took Giron points. I took Adamas on points when nobody is. So, like, it's not like I'm trying to be a front runner here. I just don't see Franklin being able to hang with Itauma for 10 rounds.
We got a very close poll, by the way. It's basically 50-50. It's 50-47 and 3% for a draw. So we're basically at a 50-50 poll.
That's good. That's what we want. This isn't an echo chamber. We got, dude, there's so many well-rounded boxing minds in both of our groups.
Yeah. All right. Come on, Canoli. What's up, girl?
Guys, we're 30 minutes into this. Wherever you are in the world, like this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Gary 3D. And let's get after it.
All right, let's go through some of these. Canoli, I need you to stop, girl. Otherwise, I got to have you leave. All right, let's get into. I'm not looking at any of these fights with crazy odds, but let's start with what I don't want to address this. I didn't do the breakdown because I think this is the worst fight God ever made. This fight bothers me. It's so bad. Nathan Heaney and Warburton. I did no film on this. I can't stand either fighter. I'm not doing a breakdown on this fight because I hate the fight that much. I don't even think I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to let you break it down because I know.
Oh my God! All right, so that is hilarious. So earlier, mid 2025, I did a Statstone Live video on Jerome Warburton when he fought Kieran Conway, and so we know that Warburton got stopped. Conway then went on to lose against George Littard, but Nathan Heaney has one loss. Mate, when you look at Jerome Warburton, he's 14-2. Two of his 14 wins are against a guy who has a record of 12-167. So there's a couple little factors of why I think Nathan Heaney totally walks Jerome Warburton. I don't think Jerome Warburton is like a realistic boxer. You know, not everybody on the British domestic scene boxes full time because it's part of an entertainment thing. They work. Nathan Heaney has Google the Stokes. He has over 2,000 savages who follow him to all of his fights, right? This is in his backyard. His best win is against a guy named Denzel Bentley that people think that Denzel Bentley is going to beat Zavidra. Zavidra is a guy that drew against one of my boys, Mateo Tapia, down here in Sydney. Zavidra is really good. And if you think Denzel Bentley is good enough to beat Zavidra, then Nathan Heaney beat him. So if you want to do boxing match,
Nathan Heaney win that fight? I'm not explain to me like a 5 how Nathan Heaney, who is like the definition of a stiff Brit, he looks like a rock'em sock'em robot. I can't watch him fight; it's painful. How did he beat Denzel Bentley? How did that happen?
Had a good night. Had a good night. Power. I don't know, man.
Was,
don't you guys do? By the way, boys, you don't have to bet on these fights. You don't.
I'm not betting. I'm not even watching this fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate this fight.
I do dare you to Google. Just Google though, and I put it up in my Discord. I put it up on Instagram on the boys who follow my stuff. Is Nathan Heaney? Because at the domestic sea level, sometimes all the like things like 2,500 cheering section fans matter, especially with the judges. So. Yeah,
I'm glad the people in the chat agree with me on this fight. Absolutely blows. I'm glad.
No, Warburton reminds me of the guy. He has a picture on BoxRec. But when I was a kid, the movie Ghost came out, and everybody it scared the shit out of me. The one actor who played the guy who kills Patrick Swayze, and then at the end, the black ghost, the demons get him. Jerome Warburton's picture on BoxRec, if you pull it up, looks like the bad guy in Ghost. And other than that, I'm never watching Jerome Warburton's tape again. No offense, Jerome. No offense.
Another fight that is not going to electrify the crowd, but I think there's money to be made here. The odds are going a little wild on this. Josh Holmes is now a slight betting favorite at -110.
He was my dog of the week.
I got him at plus money.
Me too.
Much better athlete, much better feet, much better angles. He thinks he can get in and out. Murphy is long. But to me, Holmes is a much better athlete.
You see Murphy's resume? Murphy's resume. He hasn't these guys are he fought a guy who was 0-47. Like the thing is, yeah, I got Holmes at plus 125. He's my dog of the week. Now he's not even the dog now. You're saying the odds shifted?
The odds shifted, yeah. He's now -110. Murphy's -115. I think people watch the tape on it and listen to us.
I took Holmes on the money line by himself as my dog, so we see eye to eye on that.
Michael Gomez Jr. and Jordan Flynn. This is one I flipped on. Originally, I liked Jordan Flynn. Then I
really?
Flynn and reminded myself how much I hate Jordan Flynn. So I like Gomez now. Yeah.
Same. I took Gomez as well. I just think that his work is going to be a little bit crispier. I think he's just a little bit more comfortable as a boxer, which is a crazy thing to say because this is boxing. But guys, once again, you do not have to bet on these fights. This is the Moses card, and it's like
I would bet on Holmes though. I would like. I think Holmes on the money line.
I have action.
Holmes by decision is a good bet. I think it's a good bet.
I put together a parlay with all these guys on it, and the odds are like really good, plus 1,200, just all in the money line.
There's two I think that are good parlay pieces: Shaquille Thompson and Brad Pauls. -350. It's getting better. He was -390.
I took Shaquille. I took Shaquille.
Parlay piece.
Yeah, Brad Pauls. I don't. What's he want to do? He's been in there with some good guys. He's had, I think, some decent performances. He's had some not so good performances. Shaquille's a big dude, man. Did you see the face-offs?
That's what I'm saying. Brad Pauls is an opponent. He's not a bad opponent, but he's an opponent.
Yeah, he's gonna give him. He's gonna be with him for a while. I got Shaquille at $1.35 on the money line.
I think Shaquille Thompson is a good parlay piece. I also think Liam Davies is a good parlay piece. Shout out to my paisan Grandelli. I've watched most of his career. I love Italian boxing, but this is not the same tier. This is a tier below. Grandelli has no shot in this fight. -1,000. Like just on those two pieces, right? Just take the over on the Flynn fight and then parlay that with Davies and Shaquille Thompson. You got decent odds on that.
Yeah, I took Davies on the money line, and I put him on a parlay, like you just said.
Put these two on a parlay, Davies and Thompson on a money line. Parlay that with the over on I don't have a prop on it because DraftKings is gay. But if you get the over on Gomez and Flynn, parlay that with Davies and Thompson. That's a nice little parlay right there. You get these.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
All right. All right. What else do we got here? Hutchinson and Taylor. I'm a big Hutchinson fan. I think this is easy money here. But what are your thoughts on Hutchinson and Ezra?
This is another fight. Like, every week there's there's one or two fights that gets the Discord groups split in half. Look, I think when people look on the optics of what these guys look like, people think that a lot of people like Ezra. I don't. It bothers me. Ezra's 31 years old and he has 13 pro fights. That bothers me. I think Hutch just turned 26, 27, been in there with the way better guys, battle tested. I don't think Ezra could punch either. I don't like. He looks the part. I just don't think he's going to have the artillery to keep Hutchinson off of him. I got Hutchin on the money line, and I'm not getting props on it though.
I got Hutch on the money line too. And I think Hutch's power is a little underrated. Like Hutch is like Fury, where he's not really throwing big shots, but they seem to dent. When he lands, they seem to dent you. Yeah.
He's determined. He's very determined.
Yeah. So I like Hutch all day on this. I think Hutch at minus 170 is a great piece, or it's a standalone bet. Like
I think he's a level. I think you're going to see that like a level above, and sometimes that level presents itself in pace, determination. Hutch is a very determined guy in there, and he's coming like he's super aggressive. And the minute Ezra shows any signs of being kind of like in too deep, he's going to be in bad. So I don't think he has the power to hurt Hutchinson.
Yeah, to me, I think this will be I'm not going to say a blow up. I think this is a fairly dominant, like a clear cut victory for Hutchinson. I'm not worried about Hutchinson on this one.
Neither am I. I put him on a double. I have him in another fight on a double.
We both like Itauma by decision. We both like Itauma by stoppage. I mean,
I do.
Caipo Gallegos and Julian Gonzalez.
The teenager.
Yeah, this is easy work for Gallegos, right? This is an easy, easy parlay piece.
I agree.
Here's an interesting one: Elijah Garcia and Kevin Newman Jr. or Kevin Newman II. Kevin Newman II, I think, is better than people think, but I still can't see him winning this fight. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is the fight. This is the comparison I was making a couple minutes ago. Shout out to Skills. He's in our Discord. I know Kevin Newman II is his boy. He's been talking about this fight to me over the last few months, and what's bothered. And the thing that we do is we got to always be careful to always bet with our wallet, never bet with our heart. I always talk about that, and so I think at this stage of the game, the boys don't get offended when I disagree with their lean. It's just that it bothers me at 32 years old. What's taking how at 32 years old, this is your chance now? Like, where have you been at, right? I know he lives in Vegas. He's been coached by Roy Jones Jr. over the last few years. When I watch his tape, he's going to be the better athlete than Elijah, his better hand speed than Elijah. I just don't think he likes to get hit. I don't think that he has I can't find the adjective that I'm not trying to sell him short. At this level, Elijah Garcia, 22 years old, he knocked out Armando Resendez when he was 19. People sleep on Elijah Garcia. Moving up to 168, he's not going to be the fastest guy, but he's going to be in your face the entire time, and he's fought at the world level. What other guy at 22, when you're in your early 20s, you don't see many guys fighting at the world level at 160 and 168 pounds. This kid is learning on the job. He's had some, Terrell Gachet. Most people say Terrell Gachet beat him. Terrell Gachet the dude is an Olympian. He's never been stopped. Gachet knows how to operate in there. And then, a couple other.
He's also an Ohio guy, isn't he?
Yeah, Gachet's from Cleveland, baby. I'm not an Ohio boxing. I'm a Northeast Ohio boxing fan. You got to be from Cleveland, Youngstown, Canton, Akron area. We don't do Cincinnati like Bronner, But I mean, shout out to Aaron Pryor.
Boo Boo Mancini. We don't Boo Boo Mancini. We don't roll with him.
He's from Youngstown. He's from my hometown.
Oh, you're right. Why? You're right. Why the hell I think?
Come on.
You're right. He's from Youngstown. You're right.
He's from Youngstown, Ohio.
That's where all the Italians are from. You're right.
Yes,
all the Italians.
That's where my Italian family migrated to Youngstown.
There you go.
So I think Garcia. I think it's going to be close for a while. I just like Garcia. Elijah's backhand. I like his power, and I think that his pedigree is going to be too much. I'm comfortable with that pick, actually. It's great value. I got great value at Elijah, like 58% return at like 4 days ago.
The next two fights I wanted to ask you about, Yaneli, Hernandez, and Goucher. I think Hernandez wins. Yo-Yo, minus 1,400 is too much for me. I don't like the price on it. He's going to win. Maybe if you can get Yo-Yo by decision, maybe something like that. I do think he goes. Goucher's a pro. I think he'll survive. But at minus 1,400,
Goucher's never been stopped.
Yeah.
And Gachet has decent enough power. The thing is, I told the boys this. Gachet dropped Tim Zhu in their fight when I think they fought in Minnesota early, and Tim Zhu got dropped in the first round against Gachet. But if somebody were like, what is the biggest, reach of the weekend, or if somebody like plus 1,000 odds to win, I think the longer the fight goes, Terrell Gachet against Yenli Hernandez. Hernandez is a brute. He's a bully. He wants to be in front of you, gives you both shoulders. He could be slick for how big he is, but I mean, I definitely have Hernandez to win. Could Gachet is like, in my opinion, like Sandor Martin. Always fights the B side, always fights real close, and always gets the short end of the stick. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if it's close on the cards, they're gonna give it to the other guy. Gachet never gets the call, which is
especially here where he's the B side, where he's at the end of the line, he's not getting a decision.
37 years old now. I think, dude, what is it? I think Yo-Yo on points, man. People might think that's crazy.
If you can get that, I like Yo-Yo on points too.
Are they giving you that prop?
I don't have it on my book. I've seen it on other books. Let me see. My microphone here is fighting me today. Let me see if I can find it on Pro Boxing Odds. I've seen it on other books. I don't have it on DraftKings. All right. And Lee Hernandez. I'm seeing it at Hernandez by decision at plus 105.
Mate, plus money. That if you could get that would be my prop of the week. I would take Yo-Yo on points.
Guys, questions, comments, thoughts, super chats. Questions, comments, thoughts, super chats. We got a couple more fights to get into. Giron and Montgomery. Possibility for an upset here? I don't see it.
We covered Malik against Joshua Pagan. The thing about Malik Montgomery, he has good pedigree. Amateur, has had a decent pro career. He's another one of these guys. We saw one of them last week who fights like they hit harder than they really do. He's active. He's slick in there. I have Giron winning. I do. I think that I think we're going to see another level above. I think it's a fun fight. It probably goes the distance. I like decision.
I like the distance. I like Giron. I think it's a sexy little parlay piece here at minus 240. I think there's some decent value in that. Although I don't think Malik Montgomery is going to be outclassed or anything like that. I also can't see him winning. It's probably priced about right, about 2.5 to 1 favorite. Giron's about right. Tellez and Mendoza.
That's interesting.
Well,
right?
That's an interesting bet. I like Tellez because I think Mendoza is shot. Mendoza beat Fundora. So how good Fundora is. Stop him cold.
Go on, keep going.
To me, like I'm gonna take. I'm not even a Tellez guy, but like Mendoza is an entry level guy. Mendoza is the Walmart version of an opponent. Like I don't think highly of Mendoza. So as much as I don't really rate Tellez, he's gonna win this fight.
Well, Brian Mendoza is super tough, super durable, never been stopped.
That's true. He's tough. Tough guys don't win fights, though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're getting with a Brian Mendoza. Tejas is a guy, we saw him as an 8-1 favorite, and we saw him completely crumble against Abbas Barral. It was a cardio issue. It was a gas tank issue. It was a cardio issue. I said if this fight went 12 rounds, and if this fight was a 12-rounder, I might think twice. I know Tejas had a bounce-back fight, fought Castaneda, got him out of there, and I think that Mendoza went down to either Tijuana or like Michoacan and had sort of a get-back Mexican fight, little 6 or 8 rounder. I think Tejas on points, if you could get that, or money line is a good bet.
And to be fair to Kendall Castaneda is a 140-pounder that was fighting at 54 in that fight. I mean,
fights everybody.
That's my dude.
Kendo, I like Kendo. He fights everybody.
Kendo's one of my best friends in the sport. I love Kendo Castaneda.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
All right. A Texas guy. Tellez and Mendoza. Then we got Acasta and Rios. And this is another one. After watching the tape, I've changed my mind on it. Rios is much sharper. He gets look, both guys get hit a lot. Rios has a little bit of head movement. He really stays on the phone. He keeps his elbows in. He's a harder guy to hit clean than Acasta. I also think he's a bigger hitter than Acasta. I think he throws shorter, cleaner shots. Acasta gets wild. When you get wild, you can get countered. To me, I like Rios here at plus 175. I know Rios had some bad losses, but so is Acasta. The Scour loss was a beatdown. It was a beatdown. I like, after watching the tape, Acasta is not what I thought he was. I like
How old's
Rios
Ronnie now? How old's Ronnie now?
36.
So Ronnie's 36. Ronnie is retired 2 or 3 times. This bothers me about Ronnie. He's publicly retired 2 or 3 times, right? When I see that, I instantly want to question: are we doing it for the money? At 36, you going for another run? You going to try to be a world champion? You know, we haven't seen him since the Nick Ball stoppage. Acosta, other than Nairi Inoue, little trivia: who's the only guy to ever drop your boy, Texas boy, Ramon Cardenas? Who's the only guy? Acasta. Acasta punches harder than people think. I think he has good timing at 27 years old. I have to always lean with the career trajectory. You know, I think it's going to be a really close fight. I think that Rios is going to fade mid to late rounds. I actually took Acasta on the money line.
Yeah, Acasta, this is another one that is, I think we only disagree on these last 2 fights here, right? We've agreed on everything else. So we disagree on
this is a tough fight weekend, Gary. This is like this. I usually, by this time of the week, the boys in my Discord would have already gotten what I call a safety net parlay, like a 4-leg money line plus money. I haven't given to them yet. I haven't really, and they've hit like 6 weeks in a row. I haven't given them the safety net parlay yet because there's a lot of fights where I haven't convinced myself yet.
But this is a point I've been making on my live streams over and over again. So on the American cards, we get undercard fights and smaller main events like Acasta and Rios. Hell of a fight. We get fights like Giron and Montgomery. Hell of a fight. We get fights like Elijah Garcia and Kevin Newman. Not the biggest names, right? But a hell of a fight. On the British cards, we get undercard fights like Michael Gomez Jr. versus Jordan Flynn and Alex Murphy versus Josh Holmes and Nathan Heaney versus Jerome Warburton.
Yeah, it's.
Do you see in entertainment and action? Do you see a difference?
The thing about it is, the thing I was talking about this on my live stream too, though, is that the UK, England, the UK, we'll say all the UK, it's much older, right? So America is much younger. America's, you know, a little baby compared to his history. One of my favorite historical stats is this. If you guys know what Machu Picchu is a place in South America, you know, the Incan Empire. They were defeated in the early 1500s by the conquistador. In the early 1500s, it's a place in Peru, Machu Picchu, right? You guys should know. Ancient civilization. The conquistadors go in there, the 1520, and defeats this majestic army because the Incas never seen a pale-faced god and they succumb to him and blah, blah, blah. 500 years earlier, before the conquistador, you could learn and study philosophy, math, and history at Oxford University. Oxford University opened in 1012. 1012. This is insane. And so I use that as sort of a timeline on how old the UK is, specifically Britain. And with that being said, boxing has always been a part of their culture. So when you go to London, boxing, like everything from tent fighters to bare knuckle fighters, these are guys that would be behind a bar fighting for free. A lot of these guys. So with the advent of, you know, technology, TV shows, promoters, a lot of these guys are doing that, and they're also tradies on the, you know, they're sparkies or carpenters, and they're not full-time fighters. So that's why you see the discrepancy, and you kind of, I think, got to take that with what it is. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't compare domestic level Brit fights to domestic level American fights.
I'm just saying from an entertainment. This is still entertainment. Okay, which fight is more entertaining to watch, Acasta and Rios or Johnny Flynn and Michael Gomez Jr.?
I mean, I can't wait for the Acasta Rios fight. But then again,
right.
I'm a fight, bro. I could go to the liquor store later to get a bottle, right? And I could see 2 bums talking shit. I might watch the fight. I might break it up. But I like watching fights.
No, this is why boxing is the greatest sport on earth. If you're at the World Series or the NBA Finals and a fight breaks out, when the cameras go turn, everyone watches the fight.
Yeah, it's in our DNA.
Fight between Acasta and Rios, right? Like, especially as Americans, like, I love violence. That's why I box. I love violence. I thrive in violence. I grew up in violence. I love violence, right? I think that's baked in the cake for specifically Americans and Mexicans, and that's why we fight the way that we do. Brits, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that Brits love violence the way that we love violence here in the U.S. and Mexico. I'm not sure that they love violence like that. And you can see that the way they fight, they stop the fights quickly, which I'm okay with to a degree. And
You
even
said that the Brits,
no one
you're trying to make it about violence? No way, dude.
I
What
love
are you talking
violence.
about? Read about the British Empire. They
I know. The British Empire was extremely violent. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. But
I think it's a coaching.
They were always the favorite. U.S. and Mexico were the dogs.
I think
Mexico
about this
beat
though.
Spain. We beat, and then Texas beat Mexico, and the U.S. beat the biggest empire in the history of the world. Right? Like we're the dogs. We're the scrappers. They were always the favorites.
Think about this though, what boxing presents itself every time a fight starts. Risk versus reward. If you are all in as a fighter and you don't have a career, you don't have to go to work, you are all in, dude. The risk versus reward is that gold pot at the end of the rainbow, right? When you're a plumber and you're in a fight, you have to go to work on Monday.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The risk versus reward. You're making $800, $500. I don't know what Jerome Warburton might be getting, but I know Nathan Heaney had to sell 2,500 tickets. Nathan Heaney is known for a guy selling tickets by door by door. So, there's a lot of variables to this than just, simplifying one culture softer than the other, dude. That's a pretty crazy thing.
I'm not using the word soft. I'm saying they don't love violence the way that we love violence in the U.S. and Mexico. We love, as a kid, you play war. I promise you.
How do you measure that?
No other country that plays war.
How do you measure that? How would you measure that?
Here's an example. Let me give you an example. Dillian White knocked out. What was the big white guy's name? What guy did he knock? Hang on. Give me a second. But I'll get to his name in a second. It was on HBO, right? And on the US, they played it on loop over and over and over again. And in the UK, they didn't show it again because it was too violent. You see this in Japan too. They just won't show violent knockouts because we don't need to see this again. In the US, they play it on loop because we adore violence here. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I love violence. Violence is one of my favorite things. Like I remember as a kid having these teachers saying violence doesn't solve anything. I guess it does. It solves almost everything. I love violence. Give me 1 second. Lucas Brown. Go back. Watch the Dillian White knockout of Lucas Brown.
Australia's first ever heavyweight champion.
They aired it over and over again. You couldn't walk away from it. In the UK, all right, we don't need to show this again. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just it's a difference in our culture. In the UK, we call it a fight. I'm going to the fights. In the UK, they say we're going to the boxing matches. He has a boxing match. You see the difference in language?
I do not see a correlation between British fighters having 14-0 records with 0 knockouts and that equating to them not liking violence. I think it's a risk versus reward at a certain level. Explain the heavyweight domination of the Brits. The Brits have dominated.
I'm not saying they're not good fighters. I'm not saying, although largely I think outside the heavyweight division they're not good fighters. With some exceptions, I think Dalton Smith.
I love British boxing. I like it. Like maybe because I've been watching it. I moved to the Commonwealth in 2013. I've been in Australia since 2013.
But in the Philippines, in Mexico, they fight for literally donuts, and they knock each other out, and they go to war. In the U.S., most fighters make $800 or less. Are
those same guys in the Philippines and Mexico making $50,000 being an electrician though?
Well, they can have other jobs, I would imagine.
But don't you think there's a thing called self-preservation? If you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you just like the box. You're not going to put yourself in a position.
I get your point. I get your greater point. This is a sport that's violent by nature. Like you got into boxing because there's something a little off with you and you like violence. Like that's why you get into this sport.
I disagree. I think boxing's a thinking man's sport. You get into boxing because
it's a thinking man's sport too. But the reason why you got into it was because when I was a kid, I didn't want to race bikes. I didn't want to do home run derby with my friends. I wanted to fist fight my friends, right? And I would try to. I have a brother that's 3 years older than me. I want to fight his friends because if I could beat up the bigger kid, I'm king of the block. If he beat my ass, who cares? He's 3 years older. He's supposed to beat me up, right? Like that was the way I was at 5 years old. So what I'm saying is that's not really normal. Most kids want to race bikes. Most kids want to play tag. I didn't. I wanted to fist fight. So
that's your view of the world. That's your view, which is fine. which is fine. We all have our own views. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. But I think some of like I've never liked bullets, so I like big punchers, but I like thinkers in there. I like guys who can win a fight with their mind. You know, set things up, counterbox, speed. I started boxing as a 7-year-old. I was the smallest kid. My dad took me to Jack Lowe's Southside Boxing Gym because I was getting bullied as a 7-year-old. And so that taught me all the discipline to not get into fights. That taught me how to use my words. And then once your mates learn that you know how to box, nobody fucks with you. And so everyone's perspective is different on that. But the British knockout records, though, are freaking insane.
I've never seen I've never seen Latin American fighters, Filipino fighters, Japanese fighters, American fighters. I've never seen any other country of fighters with records like this.
You know the greatest
with one knockout. It's like what?
You know the greatest.
Do that.
The greatest paradox of this is the fact that we know about the UK ref phantom stoppage. That's the thing. When you're like, that's the thing. How the hell are we gonna have a phantom stoppage, literally component of boxing when we bet, and at the same time, dudes with no knockouts? It's like, what the fuck? How do you reconcile the two?
I'll see a British fighter land something clean that catches the attention of his opponent, and he steps back. He pulls back. It's like step forward. I remember in the Fury versus Wilder fight when Fury, the first one, when Fury had Freddie Roach and Ben Davidson in his corner. Freddie Roach was telling him to do what I'm telling him. Step forward. Get this guy out of here. Don't play with your food. That's a killer in there. If you can get rid of him, get rid of him. And Ben Davidson was like, no, just sit back and box him and keep winning rounds. It's like, you want to extend a fight with Wilder? No, if you can get Wilder out, get him the hell out. And that's my point, but a difference in the perspective of the sport. Like, if I'm fighting Deontay Wilder, I want to end that thing as quickly as possible. So if I can get him out, I'm going to get him out. I'm not going to sit there and try. And then if I ends in a draw because he couldn't get him out. In the next two fights, he won because he had Sugar in his corner, and they stepped on the gas and they got him out.
Do you have many Brits who follow you, mate?
I gotta get. I got enough. I got some.
Because I used to live with one, and they're fucking savages, dude. I don't know. Have you been to London?
I've been there many times. I've been to London.
Have you been to Manchester? Have you been to Manchester?
I've not been to Manchester. No, dude, I've not. I've been to London.
Dude, fighting is ingrained in their culture. They're tough people, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not saying whether they're tough or not. I'm just saying they don't like violence like we like violence. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know what that even means, man. I know I grew up with a lot of pussies in America. There's pussies everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. But what I'm saying, the violence in the U.S. and Mexico is baked in the cake, right? The Mexican national anthem starts with Mexicanos a grita de guerra, which means Mexicans cry for war. Like there's something different about people on that we love violence.
I don't know, man. How many people love violence?
I bet you people in the sound of our voice love violence.
You think so? I'm not a big violence. Yeah. I'm not a big violence guy.
You boxed as a kid. You started boxing at how old? 7, you said?
7.
Yeah, you didn't like violence?
No, I like beating people. That's competitive.
That is the definition. That is the defining characteristic of violence.
I'm just competitive, man. But I was the same way in people.
Yeah.
I was the same way in spelling bees. I was the same way in class. I was the same way in everything.
You said beating people. I thought you were saying
winning.
Beating people up. You meant winning.
Winning.
I thought you meant beating people physically, like beating them up. I got you.
But I'm the type of guy, like growing up, man. Like if I'm not jumping in when people are jumping in at street fights. Like if I'm beating a dude up in the streets, I'm helping him up. I'm not like. I guess everyone's different. But shout out to Terry Lance and Jefferson in the comments. I just want to let you guys know I am a teacher. I do teach, and some guys actually like the historical little facts. So they didn't like the Conquistador or the Machu Picchu facts. But hey, man, it's all connected. We are all connected. So what's the biggest upset?
Keith Thurman.
Spain.
I got Thurman
from Spain.
My biggest upset from Spain?
No, I thought you said the Conquistadors.
Oh, I like the Conquistadors. Yeah, the Conquistadors burn the ships. That's my favorite thing.
Dude, fucking burn the ships. Savages. Think about that mindset.
Home? No, you're not.
No, no one's
burn the ships.
no one's leaving. Bro, come on, dude. No one's leaving, bitch. We burning these motherfuckers down. Burn the boats. Yeah. Burn the boats. So yeah, so Thurman. Okay, we can't. So Keith Thurman beats Seb. I got to be honest, and I talked about this in my breakdown. That would be a fun sort of unification tour if he goes after like Josh Kelly at 54. That'd be, who would he, Xander's probably going to fight. They're saying Xander versus Boots.
We'll see. I keep hearing this. Xander's in camp. He's not beating any of the Keith's not beating. Whoever wins this fight is going to get dismantled by Boots, by Xander, by Verge. Like, this is it for them. Like, this
you
is
think so?
Yeah. Okay. Do you think Fundora can be? I'm going to call it the big three of the 154 division. We can even add guys. Well, Ramos is at 160 now, but Verge, Boots, and Xander. Do you think Fundora beats any of those guys?
I think they're competitive fights.
I think they all stop him. I think they all stop Keith too. But I don't think. I think those guys. I think they all beat the hell out of Xander.
Yeah. Interesting. My dart. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see. I definitely want to see Virgil fight more.
All right, I gotta wrap this up, John. You got anything you want to close out with?
Guys, it is 11 a.m. here. In 3 hours, come to my channel. I'm going live doing a UFC show with Nick from Breaking Bad. 3D boxing community, man. You guys are beasts. Appreciate you guys. JSB Insiders, we stay up. So good luck to everybody.
Go check out Johnny's live stream. That's in 3 hours, you said? So that's
Yeah. With Nick, Breaking Bad's gonna be on there. And then tomorrow I got Paulie and Tommy coming on. There
you go. They do great content too. So I appreciate everybody.
I can't wait to dude. It's one of those weekends, boys. It's split. It's good. It's good for our communities too.
Yeah. All right, y'all. It's March 26th, 2026 from Texas to the world. Thank y'all. God bless. Thank you for hopping on, John. Appreciate you.
You're a beast, man. Thanks for having me, brother.
Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3D Boxing is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.